The put, post, and delete operations in the classic API can help with automation, like creating a large number of buildings or other objects from an existing list and updating inventory records. Administrators can even empower users to make changes in Jamf Pro with policies and self-service powered by the API. Jeremy here. Let's explore the put, post, and delete operations in the classic API to update, create, and delete objects respectively. If you haven't already, we highly recommend checking out our videos on the introduction to the Jamf APIs and the get operation in the classic API. The put operation updates information in Jamf Pro, like building, department, or category names, or more commonly, information in computer and mobile device inventory records. I'm going to use the put operation to update some information in my computer's inventory record. In order to understand how to write an API call with the put operation, you'll likely need to use a get first to get the resource URL and see the XML structure. I'm using my computer's ID to get the XML response body for my computer's inventory record. Following the indents, we can see the building element is in the location element, which is in the computer element. This is important to know if I want to update which building my computer is assigned to. An API call to do just that begins with the curl command, then specify a Jamf Pro username and password with appropriate privileges, and the resource URL. I'm using my computer's ID number for the ID parameter. Put and post operations are limited to XML data, so we need to include a header similar to the one used with the get operation. However, since put and post are sending data, the beginning of the header is content-type instead of accept. Next, add the capital X or request option to specify a put operation. If put is not specified as the request method, it defaults to get. Lastly, use the lowercase d or data option to specify what information to send. This is the XML path for the building element, since I want to update my computer's building. Begin with a start tag to open the computer element, then a start tag for the location element, and a start tag for the building element. Add the text for a building name, let's say I moved to New York, then close each element with an end tag in reverse order: building, then location, and computer. Before I execute this command, notice there's a space in New York, so the whole XML path needs to be in double quotes or the space character would need to be escaped. After the command executes, checking my computer's inventory record in Jamf Pro shows the building is now New York. It's important to note that items like building and department are pop-up menus with predefined names in Jamf Pro. In order for a put to update these items successfully, the updated name must match an existing name from these pop-up menus. It's also possible to update more than one element at a time with a single API call. Checking out the XML response body, notice department and room are also in the location element. If I modify the start and end tags from building to department, then change New York to my new department name like services, the location element hasn't ended yet, so I can add more elements that are within that one. For example, after the department end tag, add a start tag for the room element, then the room name, and an end tag for room. The API documentation at a glance implies that only an ID can be used for put and post requests. However, expanding the put operation for the computer's endpoint reveals you can use a name, UDID, serial number, or MAC address. The same goes for the mobile device's endpoint. Notice how the request URL changes when I get my computer by name. The post operation is similar to a put in that you may need to perform a get to see the resource URL and XML structure first. Let's say I want to create a new category for design. I'm using the get categories by ID operation to find the resource URL and XML response body for a category. It looks like the category element contains an ID number, name, and priority. Knowing that, I begin my API call with the curl command, user credentials, and the resource URL. Since the category being created doesn't have an ID number yet, use 0 as the ID number in the resource URL, and Jamf Pro will automatically assign the next available category ID number. Next, Add a header option to specify the content type is text/XML, and a request option to specify the post operation. Lastly, the data option specifies the category name and priority in an XML path. Begin with a start tag to open the category element, then a start tag for the name element, enter the text for the category name, and an end tag to close the name element. With the category element still open, add a start tag for the priority element, enter a number from 1 to 20, then an end tag to close the priority element, followed by an end tag to close the category element. Similar to the XML path when executing a put operation, the full path would need to be enclosed in double quotes if there are any spaces, or the space characters would need to be escaped. Notice the ID number in the output. We can confirm the API call completed successfully with the getCategoriesById operation using this new ID number. The post operation can also be used to upload a number of different file types to several areas in Jamf Pro using the fileuploads endpoint. Notice the resource URL contains a few parameters that need to be filled. Attachments, icons, mobile device apps, and disk encryption configurations can be uploaded depending on the resource specified. The supported ID types are ID and name, so hardware identifiers like serial number won't work and peripheral names are also not supported. A sample command is provided, which I'll reference to make my own API call. Say an employee has been having trouble with their computer and you want them to send a log file for you to comb through for errors. It's possible to create a policy in self-service that runs a script to upload the log file to Jamf Pro with a simple click of a button. The part of the script that uploads the file would look something like this, where I begin with the curl command, specify a Jamf Pro username and password with appropriate privileges, and enter the resource URL for the fileuploads endpoint, filling the parameters with computers, ID, and the computer's ID number. In order for the script to run in self-service, typically the ID number would be a variable determined by another API call using command substitution, but I'm just going to use my computer's ID number for this demonstration. For more information on variables and command substitution, check out our scripting video on variables. Continue the command with the capital F or form option, then name equals @, and the path to the file. Similar to when I updated my building to New York, the text that's a part of the form option would need to be in double quotes if the file path contained spaces. Finish the command with the capital X or request option to specify the post request method. After executing this command, I can check my computer's inventory record in Jamf Pro, and the system.log file is now available for download in the attachments category. MDM commands can be sent to devices using the mobiledevicecommands endpoint and the post operation. The post operation for the command /ID/ID_list resource URL displays the possible commands, and expanding it shows an example resource URL and an example of how to send a command to multiple devices. Again, I'll reference this when creating my own API call. Begin with the curl command, specify a Jamf Pro username and password with appropriate privileges, and enter the resource URL for the mobile device commands endpoint, filling the parameters with a command, and one or more mobile device ID numbers separated by commas. I'm using the update inventory command, and my iPad's ID number is 3007. Finish the command with the request option to specify the post request method. Once that is run successfully, checking my iPad's inventory record shows the last inventory update for my iPad occurred less than a minute ago. The last operation available in the classic API is delete. This does exactly what it sounds like it does. Completely removes an item from Jamf Pro with no undo option, so be very careful with this one. Taking a look at the categories endpoint, it's possible to delete a category by ID number. Again, the resource URL can be found using the get operation and the try it out button. An API call to delete the design category that was created earlier begins similarly to most others, with the curl command, user credentials, and the resource URL. We'll need to specify XML as the response format, so include a header to accept text/XML. Finally, Add the request option to specify the delete request method, and this command will delete the design category. Using the getCategoriesById operation confirms the design category now is not found. Armed with the power of classic API knowledge, you too can start writing scripts to automate some processes and save time like other Jamf Pro experts. For more information, check out our other scripting videos. That's all for this video on the put, post, and delete operations in the classic API. Thanks for watching.